In one quiet Japanese home, the lights were on, the dinner was half-eaten, and no one who lived there was alive. This wasn't a scene from a movie. This was the chilling reality discovered in the set. A Gaia ward of Tokyo. A peaceful, ordinary neighborhood where families felt safe and life moved at a comfortable pace. The Miyazawa family, Mikio, Yasuko, and their 2 young children, Nina and Rei, were just like any other family on their street. They were living a normal life, full of the small joys and routines that make up a home. But on the last night of the year 2000, their ordinary life came to a sudden, inexplicable stop. The next morning, when a family member couldn't reach them, the truth was uncovered. A discovery so shocking, it sent a tremor of fear across the entire nation. It was a scene of unimaginable tragedy, but as investigators began to piece together the events of that night, one detail emerged that turned this from a tragic crime into a story of pure, baffling horror. The person responsible for this did not leave the house right away. They stayed. Imagine the scene: a house, now a place of profound silence, holding the echoes of a life abruptly ended. The intruder, after committing the unthinkable, did not flee into the night. Instead, they made themselves at home. The evidence they left behind painted a portrait not of a frantic escape, but of a calm, almost leisurely occupation. In the kitchen, the refrigerator had been opened, food had been eaten, ice cream scooped directly from the tub, a melon left on the counter, also touched. It was as if someone had stopped for a midnight snack. Throughout the home, lights were switched on and off, doors opened and closed. The silence inside wasn't an empty silence, it felt used, disturbed. The family's personal computer had been accessed. The intruder had browsed the internet, checking websites, even attempting to buy tickets for a theatrical performance. They moved through the house with a disturbing sense of ease, a chilling familiarity. This wasn't a person in a rush to escape. This was someone who, for reasons we may never understand, decided to linger in the aftermath. They stayed for hours, living within the walls of the home they had just violated. The very idea sends a shiver down your spine. Whoever entered that house didn't just take lives, they took over the space, turning a family home into their own temporary, macabre sanctuary. The dread builds not from what they did, but from the terrifying comfort with which they did it. They stayed. The investigation that followed was one of the largest in Japanese history. The house was a confounding puzzle of evidence. Fingerprints were found. DNA was recovered from multiple locations. The killer's clothing, his shoes, even the weapon used, a sashimi knife bought from a nearby store, were all left behind at the scene. It was an astonishing amount of forensic evidence, more than investigators usually dream of. Yet, it led nowhere. No matches were ever found in any database. No suspects were ever identified. It was as if the killer was a ghost, a phantom who had materialized for one night only to vanish without a trace. The evidence told a story, but it was a story without a protagonist. The intruder had used the family's first aid kit, perhaps to tend to an injury sustained during the act. They had taken a nap on a sofa in the living room. They left behind over 10,000 yen in cash, ruling out robbery as a primary motive. There was no explanation for how they entered or escaped the highly secure home. Without leaving more definitive clues, every piece of evidence was a dead end, a question mark hanging in the stale air of the house. The clues painted a picture of a person, but not a person who belonged to our world. It was as if the house itself was being lived in by someone who no longer belonged there. For years, the house in Setagaya stood exactly as it was found, preserved as a crime scene, a silent, haunting monument to an unsolved mystery. The lights were off, the half-eaten dinner long gone, but the presence of that night lingered. The neighborhood never quite felt the same. The sense of safety was shattered, replaced by an underlying question that whispered on the wind. Who did this, and where are they now? The case remains one of Japan's most infamous cold cases, a wound that has never healed. The killer, who spent hours in the Miyazawa home, could be anyone, anywhere. They could have gone on to live a normal life, carrying the secret of that night with them. The police have a detailed profile, DNA, fingerprints, even a description of the clothes he wore, and still, nothing. The story has no ending. It just stops, leaving behind a void of unanswered questions and a deep, unsettling fear of the unknown. Some crimes end when the killer leaves. This one never did. If this true mystery sent chills down your spine, like, share, and follow Hollow Voice for more real-life horror stories.